Something feels wrong in the White House. And no, that's not just a comparison. Today, I'm going to tell you 3 different stories, but these 3 stories are really a piece of one big picture.
How many Trump White House staffers does it take to change a light bulb? We have no idea. That actually might be one of the few things that the most incompetent White House staff in history, led by the most incompetent White House chief of staff in history, can actually do. So I'm going to take a wild guess that it might only take one Trump White House staffer to replace a light bulb, but
A rumor about a cabinet member losing their job reports that someone isn't doing their job at all. And one number, 22, yes, 22. Keep that number in your mind, because by the end of this video, when you find out what it means, maybe you will say, wait, what? Just like I did. But first, let me set the scene, because this story doesn't start in quiet office. This story starts in a place where doors slam, phone calls and quietly and whispers move through the hallways, the White House. Now, I want to leave you with a question. And a question I want to keep in mind during this whole video. If a government is this chaotic on this inside, who actually pays the price for that chaos?
how many doctors does it take to give Donald Trump his annual physical exam? Hint. It is the largest number of doctors who have ever given a physical to an occupant of the White House. And it might be the largest number of doctors who have ever given anyone in the world a physical exam.
Are you ready? Because things are about to get interesting. Yes, very, very interesting. First, let's look at the bigger picture. According to Politico, based on conversations with people close to Trump and Republican Senate staff, tension inside the White House is rising. One source said he is really angry and people don't understand how angry he actually is. And after that, picture this for a second. Imagine an office, but normally an office connected to one of the most powerful positions in the world. And in that office, everyone is watching each other, trying to figure out who is in and who is out. One source described it perfectly. The knife are out. People are stabbing each other. It's chaos. And in the middle of this chaos, one name stands out. RFK Jr., the health secretary. Now let me tell you a story, and this story really happened. The World Health Organization declares an Ebola outbreak in Africa a public health emergency. 6 Americans have already been exposed to the virus. A reporter asked RFK Jr., are you worried about this? You know what his answer was? Yes, we are working on it. That's it. Just a few words. 3 weeks pass, the CDC puts travel restrictions in place to keep the virus from entering the country.
22. Yes, 22. The Washington Post is reporting that Donald Trump set a record with his 22 doctors. Under the headline this week, Trump sees 22 medical specialists, appearing to set new bar for presidents. The article includes this comment.
But from Kennedy, silence. No public statement at all. Now think about this. This person responsible for the health of 340 million Americans stays silent for 3 weeks about an outbreak that could affect the country. To me, this isn't just a story about not caring. It's a story about trust. Because according to the colleagues, Kennedy deeply distrusts career officials. He surrounds himself with his own hand-picked advisors. After that, only when he is required to testify. And the one time they visited the CDC, it was right after a shooting at their headquarters. Now, after that, what can I say? How would you feel seeing this picture? Yes, how would you feel seeing this picture? When I read this, I felt confused. Part of me thought, okay, everyone has a different working style. But another part of me thought, This position isn't a place where different styles should be a luxury, and that's exactly why the new reports aren't surprising at all. There are rumors that the White House is considering a change for Kennedy. According to the Salon columns, different cabinet members have recently been appearing as guest hosts at press briefings. The vice presidents, the Secretary of State, the Treasury Secretary, and Dr. Oz.
It is an extraordinary number, said Jonathan Reiner, longtime cardiologist for former Vice President Dick Cheney. What specialties do they represent? Why so many? I have a question. How many of them are psychiatrists? Because if the answer is 0, then 22 doctors isn't enough. Not for Donald Trump. Dick Cheney, who had more heart surgeries than anyone who's ever served as president or vice president, had fewer doctors than Donald Trump has. Donald Trump's personal physician, whose title in the White House is Physician to the President, is a United States Navy captain. So, like many previous White House physicians, the president is both his patient and his commander-in-chief, which means it's up to Donald Trump to decide when and if his doctor, the Navy captain, is ever going to become a Navy admiral. Captain Sean Barbarella, the White House physician, said that Donald Trump is in, quote, excellent health. He actually used the words excellent health for Donald Trump. In the Washington Post article about Donald Trump's 22 doctors, a White House official is quoted telling this lie. We have nothing to hide. The Trump White House has something to hide about everything, including Donald Trump's 22 doctors and his health. When you work in Donald Trump's White House and you issue a written report about his annual physical examination, it's actually titled his annual physical examination, and it's no longer annual, it's actually frequent, and you're supposed to reveal in that document all the drugs that the president takes, you refuse to say whether he takes a hair loss drug.
And some says Dr. Oz's appearance wasn't just helping out. Some call it an audition, like a job interview. Picture that moment. Confident steps, a big smile. And among his comments, lots of praise about the president's health, his energy, his mental sharpness. After that, I can say, when a reporter asked, why does the president go for medical checkups so often? The answer was basically that he is very happy with the results. After that, now think about that for a second. Does that answer make you feel calmer, or does it raise more questions for you? And here's where this story reaches its real turning point. That's number so important, 22. According to the Washington Post, that's the number of medical specialists involved in the president's recent physical exam. And this was reported as the highest number ever seen for a presidential checkup. Picture it for a second. A room full of specialists, heart doctors, brain doctors, and more. Each one taking their turn, running tests, writing reports. A cardiologist who's worked 4 years with a former top official made a comment in the article, basically saying this is truly an extraordinary number. What specialists do they represent? Why so many? And I'm asking the same question, why so many? Now I want to give you two different points of view here, because people are really divided on this. One side says this is normal, a president's health is a matter of national security. The more specialists who check, the better. There is already transparency. The report was published, the doctor said excellent health. There is nothing to make a big deal about. After that, the other side says, if everything is really excellent, why do you need so many specialists? And why doesn't the report give clear answers to simple questions, like which medications are being taken? If an institution says we have nothing to hide, why is it sharing so little? Which side are you closer to? I want to be clear about something here. This video isn't making any medical claims about anyone's health. And that wouldn't be right or fair. But there is a basic rule in journalism. If an institution says we have nothing to hide but doesn't answer simple questions, then people asking questions isn't bad intention, it's healthy skepticism. And this is where the whole story comes together. On one side, there is a health secretary who, according to critics, doesn't focus enough on his job and stays silent for a week during a major outbreak. On the other side, there are people auditioning to replace him, and according to critics, their strategy isn't to criticize but to praise. And in the middle, there is health report checked by 22 doctors that doesn't answer some simple question. This might look three separate stories, but I think they are all saying the same thing. In this administration, getting real information is harder than it looks. Now, let's go back to the question I asked at the beginning. If a government is this chaotic on the inside, who pays the price for that chaos? I think the answer is simple. Ordinary people. Yes, a farmer in Texas pays the price when beef prices go up. A family stays unaware of a health risk because the outbreak news isn't being shared. And millions of citizens pay the price of distrust when they can't get clear information about their leaders' health. While researching this story, I noticed something interesting. These three events, the tension in the White House, RFK Jr.'s silence, and the 2022 doctor's story can all be summed up on one side: transparency, or more accurately, the lack of it. After that ends, I really want you to think about this one. If an institution keeps saying everything is fine, we have nothing to hide, but small questions keep going unanswered, does that make you feel more comfortable or more uneasy? And a second question, a bit more personal. Do you think a leader's health is just their private business, or for someone making decisions that affect millions of people, does it become a matter of public concern? After that, let's talk about it in the comments. Share your opinion and don't be afraid to talk with people who disagree with you, because these kind of topics aren't just about right and wrong, they are also about the question how much transparency is enough. If this video made you feel something, curiosity, concern, or just I didn't know that, consider subscribing, because these stories are moving fast and you will want to be part of following them, right? See you in the next video.